Hello and welcome. I've had these sitting around in a drawer for a year with the intention of eventually working on them, and I finally got to the point now where I think I'm going to sell them, and so I figured I might as well just do a video on rebuilding these. So these are SRAM X5 3x9 shifters, impulse technology. They have an indicator on them. I can't remember if the indicator is removable. Probably something you don't really want to do. So we're going to start to work today on the free-speeded side. If I remember, they're fairly simple in the interior, but we'll find out shortly. So let's begin on this one, and this will be part 1. Looks like we've got to take off these 4 screws. They're number 3. Oh, and by the way, before you start working on this, make sure you've removed all the tension. Let's remove the barrel adjuster. I can feel straight away there's a spring on the inside here. We're going to remove that, and there it is. We're detensioning that spring, and it's off. It was this one, I think. Yeah. Okay, so underneath there's this spring. Tip goes into that slot right there. There's 2 bolts. I'm guessing one's a female on both sides that we're going to need to remove simultaneously. They're both number 5s, so you will need 2 number 5s to do this. So I'm taking it off. In preference, I'd like to take the top one off first. We can take off that cam sprocket part. And this plate. You'll see here there's a spring. I think we're going to unlatch that. And leave it like that for now. You can now take this off. Unfortunately, a ton of springs kind of fly off when you do that, which is a bit annoying because I don't know now where everything's going to go. I think though this spring, which was here before, I think that other tip was going through that little hole there, so not a big deal. So let's remove that spring. Now here, this was also kind of tension when I was removing it. It was a bit more like this angle. I think it's probably this spring here that was against something. Doesn't matter. So the tip of that spring seems to be inside this lever. We're about to take it off now so we can see closer. Okay, yeah, so the tip of that spring seems to be in that kind of slot there. So we've got this top plate to take off. You'll see here there's a pull and a spring that was tensioning against it. Yeah, there's the spring. Might as well go the full blast and take out this little pin that's holding that lever, and there's a spring right there in front of it. And if you really want to, you've got now access to this paper plastic part here. That's for the dial. I think I'm going to leave that. It's actually very fragile. If you see here, that's pretty much just turning everything. Mine's fairly clean, so I won't need to clean it. Let's put this back together again now. Grab the lever and you'll have that spring that's pushed against it on one side, and the other tip of that spring is going to be pushing here. And you'll want to get that into the right order position to be able to run that pin through. Next, grab that pull and we're going to put it into, so there's a hot there at the bottom of that, the lever. So you want to stick that tip into it. Like so. Now we need to get the spring, where did I put it? There. So with the spring, you need to put that onto that cross part. So one bit you're going to now need to push in front of that pull. So you should have something like this. Now the lever's going to go into the, I don't know, the plastic body, and it seats more or less like that. Then we've got that spring. So the tip that's there on the interior, that's going to go into that slot right there. Stick that in, and you'll want to seat that a little bit. We then have this metal plate, so that tip of the pull is going to go through its that small hole. Okay, like so. If you want to add some grease as you're going along here, and make sure that the other tip, that spring's going here. I'm fairly certain that's where it's going to go anyway. And at one point we're probably going to need to tension up this lever by turning this around. But anyway, that'll be there for now. So now we need to just, this is going to be the only hard part really of this rebuild. You'll have this spring here, so there's one difference you'll see there. There's that one tip of that spring's fairly flat, and the other one's got a kind of part there that's sticking upwards. So it's going to go into this position, and you'll see it's going to be holding on where there's that plastic part there on top of the other spring. So just get that ready. Like that. Next, this is maybe going to be the hard part. I don't know yet. So we're going to have the other shifter that's going to seat on top of here. Now what we're going to need to do beforehand is we're going to need to twist the other lever, tension it up, and we're going to want this part right there, the pull. We're going to want it to be in this position over here, and eventually that pull is going to go in between that space on the plate right there, and you'll see there that other tip of that spring here, that's going to go into the tiny hole right there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist that around now. see what that does. So annoying to work on. So let's twist that around towards there. So you will need to hold it, push down on it for it to not move out the way. Then we're going to put this plate on the top. Okay, make sure that's seated. You should be able to just let go now, which I just did. It doesn't seem to be moving anything out the way. Yeah. So I just need to get that spring there back in front of that lever. There you go. And that other tip now, that spring, we're going to bring it up towards there where there's that hole. There you go, it's in. Next we've got this part. So make sure that you're putting this in the correct position. You'll see here there's two teeth on the exterior, and then there's this kind of larger tab, and then you'll see there's a tooth right here. So you want that to go right in front. The next part's fairly obvious. You'll have those bits there that kind of see into the holes there of that plate. So you need to just put them in the right one, and that should see on. Push down. Now we're going to put the two bolts back in. The female one goes on this side, and on the other end will be the male side. And you can grab your Allen keys to screw them back on. Be careful when you're doing that, by the way, that these parts don't fall off, because mine just did, and I had to undo it and redo it again. And now we can tighten that up. That should be good. Now for the spring here on the top, I thought initially that this spring here was latched onto the other side, the other cover, or the top cover of this shifter. Actually, no. So this tip right here is going to go into the small little slot hole right there on top of that cam. And then what we're going to do is we're going to recline this spring, and it's going to actually latch onto this. There's a little tab that's sticking up there, so you'll see that it's latched on. And normally if you let go, it shouldn't jump off. They can though. And then we can stick this lid back on. Make sure that the ribbon on the other side of this is on number 1 here. And we can now screw all these down. Screw backwards and then forwards to make sure you avoid damaging those plastic threads. And the barrel adjuster, and we are then truly done. Voila. It's check that again. I don't know how those teeth just seem to work on this, but they do. So we're not going to complain. Anyway, thank you for listening. Hope this helped you. I don't know, somehow repair or service your SRAM X5 shifter. Part 2 will be coming up shortly. And until next time, peace out.